Very excited. So I went by and
It says print your name, or do you want us to actually use the space of your signature?
Use it for signatures. Because I think it's
Yeah, there's non-red lines.
I'll copy it.
that's just the
Right.
Can you leave it as a question?
As far as I know, I think I'll look it up. In Hollywood. She does hybrid.
Warrants and that's it.
Professor, all that.
That's what I've heard about Arnold.
If they want to. Oh, that's good. Good. See that one, maybe it's on, like more. I
With this paper, right? Yeah.
I read paper so it lasts longer.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, so let me know.
Yeah, Friday, yeah. I want to make it off the camera, the awning, the roller. Yeah. I was filled up with rain last Wednesday night. I went to dump it, and it broke the rain. Luckily, I think Jerry's going to cover it. That's what I said.
haven't seen this in a long time.
Devin's going to become a council groupie.
I didn't hear back from them.
No.
So if you're not.
Oh, are those warrants?
Yeah. Then you sign all of them.
Basically what we decided.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or these are the water.
Sorry.
Yeah, once in a
Stop by and visit.
I know you're so lucky
I'll come in and
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, August 13, 2019 meeting of the Pittsfield Town Council. I ask that you all please rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would please ask now for a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda this evening is the adoption of minutes of the regular meeting held on July 16th, 2019. We have 3 of these, but we'll do them one at a time. I'll look for, is there any, look for a motion from the council? We are going to be adopting the minutes held on the 16th, followed by the 15th, followed by a special workshop on the 23rd, and that was a special meeting on the 15th. So the first one that's on the agenda is July 16, 2019. So I'll look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion to recommend we accept the meetings for our regular meeting, minutes for our regular meeting scheduled on July 16, 2019 as cited.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Questions or comments, errors or omissions, or is there anything that anybody sees that needs to be changed or corrected? No? Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 16, 2019 be adopted, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and those minutes are adopted. The next one is I'll look for motion for a council on the special meeting held on July 15, 2019.
Move we accept the minutes from the special meeting held on July 15, 2019.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments concerning that? Is there any errors or omissions or anything that needs to be changed or that jumps out at you? Anyone? No? Okay, not hearing any, I sense you're ready to vote. All those in favor of the adoption of the minutes of the special meeting held on July 15, 2019, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the July 15 minutes are adopted as well. And last one on the adoption of the minutes is the budget workshop held on July 23rd, 2019. I'll have a motion.
Will we adopt the minutes for Tuesday, July 23rd budget workshop?
Do I hear a second? Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Anybody see anything, errors or omissions, or anything that needs to be looked at or changed? No? Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote. All those in favor of adoption of the minutes of the budget workshop held on July 23rd, 2019, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and those minutes of the budget workshop are adopted as well. Next is presentations, congratulations, and introductions.
So the first presentation is by our town auditor, Bill Hall of R.H.R. Smith & Company on the audit for the period ending 12/31/2018. The town audit has been on the website on the front page. Scrolling down, you'll see it for any of those that have computers open or phones. And we have an extra copy here this evening, a couple of copies if people are interested in looking at it. So we have Bill.
Bill, the floor is yours.
Evening, everyone. As Captain said, I'm here to present your 2018 Town of Pittsfield audit. I want to be very brief. If you have any questions on any pages I go over or any questions on anything you looked at prior to this, feel free to jump in wherever you want. I think I say this every year. Pages 1, 2, 3 are the most important pages in this document. It's where we form our opinion. You have a non-qualified opinion, and that's the opinion you'd want. The other two opinions would be an adverse opinion or a qualified opinion. Pages 4 through about 12, well actually yours is a little bit longer. About 19 is the MD&A, we call that the Management Discussion Analysis. That is where the Town of Pittsfield's administrator, usually Catherine, can put in information that she deems that she wants in the audit. It's the only place in this audit report where she can put anything in, hence why it's called Management Discussion Analysis. You'll notice at the top of that page it actually says unaudited. However, you will see figures in that page. Those figures that are in those pages are audited. It's just the information in those pages are not audited. Now I'm going to go to Statement C, and we would like to talk to you about your fund balance. So your fund balance at the end of December 31st, 2018 is at $3.4 million. Of that, 2.4 is committed. 399,000 is assigned, leaving you an unassigned fund balance of $597,000. So your fund balance total is at 3.4 million, as last year it was at 3.8 million. So when I say last year, I'm talking about 17. So you actually had a drop in your fund balance of $463,000. I think most of the drop in the expenditure or in the fund balance was due to you guys spent some of the capital, the reserve accounts that you guys have in the general fund. Your economic development fund, which is a major fund, actually decreased a little bit also from 251,000 down to 250,000. And then you also have on these same statements something that's called other non-major governmental funds, where you have about 1.8 million. If you look at the back of your audit, it actually lists out every single one of those funds, whether it's the PEC or any of the grants that you received from the FAA or anything like that. A brief discussion about your two enterprise funds. So you have a water department and a sewer department that the town operates. Your sewer department went from $3,071,000 up to $3,092,000, so it had a $20,000 increase. Your water department had a $20,000 decrease, went from $3.13 million to $3.11 million. So overall, you had almost a net zero change in your both of your proprietary funds. And the reason why your sewer and water department is a proprietary fund because it operates like a business, so it uses fees to pay for its expenses. So that's considered in GASB rules. GASB is a governmental accounting standard board, oversees us and oversees the towns on what they're supposed to operate and what they're not supposed to operate. And those two funds are classified as enterprise/proprietary funds. The notes to your financial statements start on page 30. I think I said this last year. If you ever do decide to read this document, always start with note 1. Note 1 has all the terminology and gives you a description of what some of that terminology is and what it means. After note 1, you'd have note 2, which is your cash footnote. Cash footnote would break down what you have in cash, if you had checking accounts, savings account, money markets, if you have any investment CDs, whether or not it's collateralized or not collateralized. All of the money in the town of Pittsfield is collateralized. Note 3 would be a breakdown of your fixed assets. Note 4 would be a breakdown of all of your long-term debt, which would be your bonds and any leases. Note 5, 6, and 7 are your restricted funds. So I did mention earlier in your general fund you had some assigned and some committed fund balances. You could actually go to the note and it would actually break down what those two numbers were and what actually is committed and assigned. And then also in the notes is the new GASB 6875, which is asking auditors to disclose your retirement information a little bit further than what we used to in the past. The good thing with the FY18 audit, there was no new GASB proclamation, so there wasn't much of a change in the format of your financial statements. Just GASB 6875, I think, took place in 16 or 17. So we are required by GASB, which also requires the state of Maine and any retirement company to perform these new documents now, which are very lengthy. Which I'm surprised they actually haven't. They don't charge towns any funds for this proclamation that GASB did. After that, you go to Schedule 1. Schedule 1 is your budget to actual. Let me see if I can get there really quickly. So in your budget to actual, your revenues came in at $40,000 less than what you budgeted. Most of that was due to your other revenues. You budgeted $268,000 in other revenues, and you only received $148,000. Your expenses came in at $2.6 million above. You did not spend $2.6 million of your budget, but most of that is your capital outlay, where every year you roll over your capital outlay. So if you don't spend it, you keep rolling it over and rolling it over. Other than that, most of your departments were very close to being spent. The largest one was $40,000, which was Public Works. So your FY18 budget got spent very well. After that is where you get into your non-major funds. And like I said, you had about $1.88 million in non-major funds. Most of that is your permanent fund, which is where your scholarships could be, cemetery funds, anything that has usually some kind of outside letter that states that you can only spend a certain amount of that money and whatever the purpose is. So usually permanent funds usually are bequeathed to you by individuals that live in the town or have lived in the town in prior years. Special revenue funds, you had about $823,000 of special revenue funds. Some of that is your housing rehab revolving loan fund, your Pittsfield Solar Development Bangor TIF, your PEC is the most at $452,000. You also had your new LLC. So you got some TIFs obviously in your special revenues. And then some small grants like your adult softball, your Stein grant, police donations and stuff like that. In FY18, you were not required to have a single audit, which means that you did not spend $750,000 of federal funds. Usually every year you're very close. So usually as an auditor coming in, I'm not actually sure whether you're not going to be a single audit. So usually it takes 2 or 3 days before I'll actually determine whether or not. Usually Catherine will either confirm or deny whether or not I'm correct or not. Other than that, your FY18 audit went very well. Catherine does a very good job with your finances. You do a lot of grants. You get a lot of FAA money up here. She does her paperwork is very meticulous, let me say. She usually has it in at least 2, maybe sometimes triplet. So she is doing a good job keeping the paper companies in business. Other than that, like I said, you had a very clean audit. You had a good audit. I think it took 5 full days of regular field work, and I think it was No, I don't think we came to do pre-art work, so I think your field work was about 5 days, and it took about maybe 2 or 3 days to put the financial statements together, and I believe it's been finalized for a couple months now. So, any questions? I know I just threw a lot of data on you.
Yeah, I got a question, maybe whether it's you or Catherine can answer it. In the past, Catherine, I and others have questioned the Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund, which has about $250,000 plus or minus in it right now. My understanding, and I could be wrong, is that you had indicated that this was non-existent from the past. You retired it, it really doesn't happen. We don't have a committee of the council that gets involved with that. So I'd like to know, what is that $250,000, which is a hefty chunk of change, and how could it have decreased by $368 due to expenditures exceeding revenues when we don't have anything to do with it?
So the Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund was committed to the CDGB sidewalk project as our match. So we committed that through the town council a couple of years ago in order to apply for the CDGB. We left it under its current title just because that's what it has always been. There were a number of years ago that the town council decided that we would no longer loan the money out unless it was for a project of the town's making or something significant. And so when we had the opportunity to apply for the CDGB fund, we needed to provide a 50% match to do the sidewalk project. And so that's your match.
So that is the CDGB grant,
That's
correct?
the match for the CDGB grant, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
For the town to pay its 50%, so we can get the state monies when the state is done with their survey and we start the project, which is coming up.
So could we either redefine it or in the future, name it something else? Because from the perspective of economic development revolving loan, to me it indicates that we have the potential to loan money to potential businesses or people that want to start up a business or help with construction or some other phase of the business, because it left me a little bit confused in that regard.
So in the economic development plan, after the town council decided that those are the funds that we would use because they were, one, available, and they did not want to loan out any money anymore because of the issues from the 90s and early 2000s in which a number of loans had to be written off. And we did do a few loans in the 2000s. I did clarify in the economic development plan that those funds were not available unless they were for a specific project designated by the town council.
So am I to understand that $250,000 was in there from the previous revolving loan fund?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's been sitting there since the 90s?
It's in varying amounts. We had to write off quite a few loans. When I arrived, I think you had a massive issue going on. We did collect some of the items. There were no lien notices or serial numbers for the equipment or promissory notes. So the town, we were fortunate that a number of people agreed to make their payments once we insisted that they do it. There were a few that were in bankruptcy, and so we had to write those off. So this was all written off, and these are the funds that were left over. We did have several small loans that took place, the most prominent one being the Simons Family Restaurant, which the Simons had taken over the old restaurant that was closed when I arrived, and the water was up around the electric box. That was quite exciting. That was hour one here, hour two, so that we had to get that straightened away. So we did a loan to the Simons, and they turned the restaurant around, and then a couple of people owned it, and now it's our famous Vittles.
Mm-hmm. So am I to understand that once we do the sidewalk project, this will be off the books? from the perspective of?
Yes, I would assume that we'll spend the entire amount. I believe we will, because it was very tight in doing the estimating for the project, and we want to get all the way down the hill on the sidewalk to the back entrance of the industrial park. But we also are doing donations and looking for other grants, and we've got 2 grants already to put toward the Main Street project for all the incidentals, the nice items, you know, like bike racks and seats and everything. Nice waste baskets.
It was the federal government's initiative when they created those revolving funds that they would be on the books for a long time, because it was meant to give out and then the business was supposed to pay it back, and then you're supposed to give another business and the business would be paid back. So, you know, having those on your books for 20, 30 years is kind of common. But also, something else was said, Catherine, is I've seen this numerous times over the last 5 years in towns. A lot of writing off those loans because the businesses didn't succeed and they obviously can't pay back if they're bankrupt and closed.
We're not gonna run afoul of anybody by using that money for something other than it was.
She would have had to have got permission from the federal government to do that. She would have had to have.
Yeah, we were able to do that, as well as utilize the funds that were here from when Hancock Lumber paid back a loan that they had. We were able to use those funds too.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Hall? Councilors? No, I agree. I think the name change would be less confusing, and I think we should do that. I don't think we'll run into any issues with that.
I think because of the way we did the resolution, we got to keep it until the project's done, but whatever's left over, whatever's left over, we can address it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Bill, it's always fun when you arrive here. We never know what you're going to concentrate on, so you can't prepare.
I try to shake it up, and actually over the last year or so, I've had some towns that I've done this presentation said it would be a good idea to do something on a projector or something. So next year I'm probably going to be doing some kind of projector stuff, just because I've had a lot of complaints that a lot of townspeople can't follow a lot if they don't have it on in front of them. So I do plan on that for next year. Thank you for being here.
Digital.
Thank you for coming in. That
Yes,
was
you're very
much
welcome.
appreciated.
Not a problem. Like I always say when I leave, you know, if you ever need to get a hold of me, Catherine does have my phone number or my email, so feel free to give me a call if you ever want to talk about your audit.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Alrighty.
Very good. On to community and economic development activities and events. Later on the agenda, we have the permitting for the 4th annual Main Cheese Festival on Sunday, September 8th. And once we get that done, we've gotten some nice logo and information from the Cheese Festival events coordinator, and we'll be advertising that event heavily. Looks like it will be quite really interesting. And who thought that there would be this many types of cheeses here? The next item is awards. We were very successful and very appreciative, because this has been a very difficult grant to get, as Caleb can attest to. We were awarded the Federal Aviation Administration Construct Building Permitting and Preliminary Design, which is to construct the 8-unit T hangar and the apron. So this is the permitting and the preliminary design. It is not the building. But because we have finally made it into non-safety items, of which we were so fortunate to get well over $5 million for the airport, we're now into other items that are revenue generators. And so getting this allows us to pay back PEAC, the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation, that we borrowed the funds due to the changes at the FAA on these permitting and planning grants. You have to put the money out first and get reimbursed, rather than do it at the same time, like budget your match, get the grant, get reimbursed in the same, like within a month or two. Now you have to put it out ahead of time. And so the fact that the federal government has committed to the project means that we're going forward, which is excellent. So this is good. And then the next item, the ones we always like, are certificates of thank you. And these are certificates that are being given to employees who, regardless of the fact they know that they're being paid, they volunteered to go work on a very difficult project. We had done some cutting at the airport, and then at the last minute, holding up our grant was the fact that more cutting needed to be done, brought in by several FAA individuals. And so we asked for volunteers because during the winter, the ground has to be solidly frozen in order for us to bring in equipment, and that rarely happens now. So you have to cut by hand or some other very small mechanized item, and so it's pretty much hand cutting in different locations. So this is difficult work out there with water, hot water around your ankles or up to your knees in some cases, because it's a swamp, and that's why we have the permitting items. Let's call it what it is, wetlands and swamp. And the mosquitoes are really big. So we would like to give out certificates to those people who helped us, and we got a couple of additional names too. We had Zach Noble, who's a firefighter, worked a few hours there, and so we're going to give him a certificate. And we have a new employee at the transfer station. He worked a day, Harry Billington, so that was a long day. So these certificates indicate, on behalf of our community, the town of Pittsfield would like to thank the individual, first one being Don Shoup, for his efforts with additional tree cutting requested at the Pittsfield Municipal Airport. Due to his efforts, the town was able to meet FAA, Federal Aviation Administration requirements to receive a grant for Phase 1 to expand the airport with a new hangar and apron. So the mayor is going to give those out, and the first one is Don Shoup, safety coordinator. It's always good to have the safety coordinator out at these difficult locations.
Come on up here, Donnie. And I'll tell you folks, this would not have gotten off the ground if these people hadn't worked on this and worked diligently and tirelessly. It wouldn't have happened. So we would have been minus that $129,000 grant. So thank you for all the hard work, and I know and I appreciate it. You want to stay with it. David, come on up. These guys work hard like everybody else does, and again, a lot of times you don't see everything that they do. David, thank you for all your hard work. I know that you guys were right up to your elbows in mud and mosquitoes. Matt Larry. He's not here. Not here tonight. Harry Billington is not here. Zach Noble is working. Okay. But anyway, between all these people that, believe you me, I've seen some of the mud that they were tracking in, and nobody would want to do that, but they did it, and they did it because they want the town and they want the airport to succeed. And so everybody and it was a team effort on everybody's part. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And just quickly, we do have a few business projects that are ongoing, not ready to be released as of yet. They're small business activities, which is, we really like small businesses. And we did give a secondhand dealer license to Joseph and Jennifer Perkins for this place, which is a secondhand shop that's out on 445 Canaan Road. It's an interesting little historical building. And as always, we always promote our new businesses, the Crossroads Case Management down on Main Street, P Squared Tax and Accounting, that's at 113 North Lanchie Street, Pittsfield Medical Center at 105 Main Street, Decked Out Skateboards at 145 Scotland Avenue, Sebastian Trading Center at 1457 Main Street, Central Maine Motors on Main Street, Amanda Shackles on Estelle Street, our new flower and gift shop, the Flower Studio at 117 Somerset Plaza, Sundew Studio at 113 North Lancey Street, and Dental Lace, the packaging fulfillment center for the online orders on Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is public hearings, old business.
Ordinance 19-8, that the town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that Chapter 13 zoning ordinance, Section 4, performance standards, home occupations be rescinded, and the Chapter 13 zoning ordinance, Section 4, performance standards, home occupations be adopted.
Right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience this evening that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 19-8? Yes, sir.
Can somebody just explain what those changes are going to be?
Yes, very quickly, the ordinance committee and planning board have approved the amendments to the home occupation section of the zoning ordinance. This is to make it more business friendly for these smaller business owners. The amendments address outside storage, the ability to have 2 vehicles used as business vehicles parked at the site outside a fenced area. Right now they're not supposed to be. So how does the little business operate? You're going to park your vehicle someplace else. So this allows them to have the vehicles on site, and signing enhancements.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Nice. Any other, anybody else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 19-8? Does anyone in the audience wish to speak in opposition of ordinance 19-8? Any comments? None? Okay, not hearing any, I'll turn over to the council. I'll look for a motion.
Move we adopt ordinance 19-8.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments, councilors? Any questions?
It's a good change.
No questions. Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of ordinance 19-8, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that ordinance passes.
Ordinance 19-9, that the town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that Chapter 13 zoning ordinance, Section 4, performance standards, home-based enterprise be amended as follows in the 13th paragraph under regulations. Exterior storage of materials, product, or equipment shall occupy a total area no more than 10,000 square feet and shall be shielded from the view of any road and of any surrounding properties, and be at least 100 feet from any residential dwelling other than the owner's dwelling. Sales area, office area, or production areas, and interior storage in existing buildings is allowed in the setback areas. Interior storage in detached buildings would not count as the 50% of the living calculation.
Okay. Again, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience this evening who wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 19-9? Anyone? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in opposition of ordinance 19-9? No? No comments? Okay, I'll turn it over to the council. Look for a motion.
Move we adopt ordinance 19-9.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments, councilors? Catherine?
So that we have this one on the record too, like the last one. The amendment to the home-based enterprises, which are businesses that are a little bit more intensive than the home occupations because they have things outside too. This amendment will provide more opportunities for the home-based enterprises. It will second open up more space on the lots to the home-based enterprise. And third, it will exclude interior storage in detached buildings from being calculated into that 50% of the living area calculation. Both the ordinance committee and the planning board approved the proposed amendment language.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments, councilors, concerning this ordinance? No? Okay, not hearing any, I sense you're ready to vote. All those in favor of ordinance 19-9, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that ordinance passes as well.
Ordinance 19-10, that the town of Pittsfield hereby ordains to transfer property listed as map 27, lots 79-4, 79-6, and 79-7, and map 24, lot 33, on the town of Pittsfield property tax maps dated April 1st, 2019, to Innovative Specialties, LLC, for the sum of $40,000, and more particularly, being a portion of a description and a deed to the town of Pittsfield, recorded in Somerset County Registry of Deeds in Book 1472, page 297. Such lots are depicted on the final subdivision plan of the Industrial Park Addition, recorded in the Somerset County Registry of Deeds in Plan Book 1990, page 175. The town council further authorizes the town manager to execute a municipal quitclaim deed to Innovative Specialties, LLC.
Again, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience this evening that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 19-10? Anyone wish to speak in favor of this ordinance? No? Anyone wish to speak in opposition of ordinance 19-10? Any comments from the audience concerning this ordinance? No? Okay, not hearing any, I'll turn it over to the council, and I'll look for motion from the council.
Move we adopt ordinance 19-10.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Councilors. Catherine?
So the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation directors have been working on this for months. And so Innovative Specialties, also known as Nitro Trailers, is expanding and needs space for another building, another huge building. And so they're already bursting at the seams and have just moved in. I would ask, and this makes no change whatsoever to any of the details in terms of the ordinance, but we do have map 27 lot 79-4 in the records also listed as map 24 lot 32. So I would ask that we amend this to indicate map 27 lot 79-4, also known as map 24 lot 32, just for the record, so we've got a good chain of the details in case some of these old tax maps and other records get brought up. This is at the junction of two tax maps, and you know how they're at different scales and a bit confusing here. And we're going to be updating our tax maps as an upcoming project, so that will be very good. They also are two other sets of numbers which are not on here, and I'm not even mentioning. This is what happens when you have a project that the tax maps are changed multiple times, that the project started in 1988 for the industrial park, and we had to keep everything all the same. And we were so fortunate that in 2010 we were given a massive project from the federal government, Economic Development Administration, for over $1 million to do this project, which also rebuilt a section of the industrial park street too, which was very good. It built it up good for truck traffic. So that would be a proposed amendment. It makes no changes to the size, the lot dimensions, or the money.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we amend ordinance 19-10 to reflect the changes that Catherine mentioned. So after map 27 lots 79-4, insert language that says also known as or also shown as map 24 lot number 32.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Any questions? No questions. Okay. The hearing is situated. Vote. All those in favor of amending ordinance 19-10 to read the language that Heather just put out there, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the ordinance is amended. Any questions or comments concerning this ordinance whatsoever? Not hearing any. Since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of ordinance 19-10 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that passes as amended. Next is reports. Council reports. Finance Committee. Anything from the Finance Committee?
We had a meeting, but we didn't have a quorum, so we had a formal meeting.
Now,
We had an informal
How we
meeting.
had a meeting.
well, the one good thing about that usually means the finance is in pretty good shape.
We did one on the 8th.
Was there any discourse at the meeting, or did you reserve yourself?
Yeah. I could debate the issue, I could deny it.
Yeah, you all talked about the different projects that are on the agenda this
Yeah,
evening.
it was basically an update on the projects that we're going on tonight, and the RFPs.
Yeah, usually if the money doesn't add up, usually the place is full, and if it's adding up, people don't get too concerned. Thank you, Howard.
However, warrants were really backed up.
Yeah.
So, if we have another, heaven knows what we'll do next year or the year after as far as the summer and everything. But, I think that from a fiduciary responsibility of the council to make sure that the town remains in good standing with its creditors, that warrants should be signed in a timely manner by the councilors. So,
I agree with that, and I didn't realize there were so many there, so I asked Ann just to, give me a call and let me know if there's warrants
Yeah.
ready. Because unless they're sitting on our desk here, we don't have any notification that there's warrants ready to be signed or anything, so.
That's what I
It's
told
just a
them.
call to the counselor so that I know if they can pop in,
Okay.
especially where we have such a gap between meetings in the summertime.
I agree. Thank you, Howard, I appreciate
Yeah.
that, yeah. The
Yes.
quicker we get them signed, the quicker things move.
Yeah, we did have people promise to come in, but during the summer, it is difficult with all the vacations and everything.
Yeah. Hopefully, we get them signed in a timely manner and things move forward. Ordinance Committee, anything from the Ordinance
We
Committee?
have not had any meetings.
Yeah.
We had an issue, but apparently it's been resolved. And
Life is
we'll
good.
have other stuff to work on coming forward from other things from the planning board, so
We'll
we'll
put them all
schedule a meeting
together.
when we're ready for that.
Yeah, it's good to be as efficient and effective to, if we don't have an emergency, to deal with everything at once.
Alrighty, thank you. And Recycling Committee has no report this evening, we'll be meeting in the fall. Board and Town Committee updates by councils and manager. Anybody have any reports they want to put out there tonight? I know we have different committees like Communication, Bicentennial, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's been, does anybody have anything that they want to throw out there while we're right here?
Well, from the bicentennial perspective, we're coming towards the end of the year, and the executive committee is meeting this week to kind of wrap up plans for the rest of the year. We did have quite honestly, a very successful quilt show put on by the local quilters group. They had over 150 quilts on display at the UU Meeting House. 2 good days, and I think they saw over 200 people that came through.
Wow.
So it was successful, and the beneficiaries will be the UU and the Historical Society, as well as increasing membership of the local quilters group. So I think that was success. I think that we'll be meeting, and we'll basically be kind of bringing everything to a close towards the end of the year. And we've got some ideas on how to keep the energy rolling, from a year-to-year basis. So we'll be bringing that forward at some point. Right.
Thank you, Howard. Sounds very successful and exciting, and it sounds like it's going to grow. Ann Matthews, can you give us anything on the theater that you may want to report?
Well, we don't have a lot to report. I want to put out some thank yous to Councilperson Billings and Curtis for coming to the walkthrough, taking time out of your busy schedules to do that. It was informative, and I think that went well. I want to thank Jamie for all the work she's been doing, because she's had to do some backpedaling and a little bit of frustration on the committee's part that we're paying Jamie now to take care of stuff from the past. So
It's a work in progress.
it is, and we appreciate her very much. And we had 205 people the other night at the theater
Very
for a
good.
movie, so that's a good success.
Very good, because I got to tell you, I was down to Thompson a few weeks ago, down to where because I got invited down to the eat and the movie, and I'll tell you, there was 8 people sitting in there. So if you're pulling 250 for a movie, you're doing very well
In one night.
in one night.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And that's a big area down there, and they got a lot to draw from. They got video games out there, they got arcades and everything, and I saw 8 people. So
She's working very hard for us.
thank you, Ann, and thank you, Jamie. And Nick, is there anybody that I missed? Because this is my first cup of coffee here. So is there anybody that I missed? No? Okay, so we'll go to town manager report.
All right, very good. Number of items, I'll be as brief as possible. First item, we are working on a nice design outside sign for the depot, to thank Chimbro for all of their efforts in organizing this. And this, of course, was supposed to be a surprise, but it got brought up at the last meeting, so it's no longer a surprise. But we'll be looking at an event maybe in September or in October, teaming up with the Pittsfield Historical Society. So there'll be more information, and we got such a beautiful design, and we'll get this all worked up here so the councilors can check it out. Second, we had some information from citizens who are working on painting the tunnel, which is our little, what used to be the bridge on the Pittsfield Recreational Trail. And so looking around at what different towns have done, we've had some beautiful murals. So that project's being organized by Jane Woodruff, and we need permission from the state of Maine. So we put together a letter to send that in, and so that will go off. This would be a project that would be viewed as a draw for the town. It's nice to look at when you're running or walking or whatever you're doing on the recreational trail, but would also be seen as connecting the town to the big art trail that's going through Somerset County. It would enact some of the recommendations from the Somerset County Cultural Plan of highlighting cultural attractions, draw people to town so that they would also hopefully by the trail system we would set up, and the details and the brochures and everything, and websites. The UU Meeting House with its numerous murals. The architect Harry Cochran had put that together, who was the architect of Monmouth Theatre, as well as its beautiful stained glass windows. We also have the library with Tim Sample's mural, and we have all of our Langley's pieces, which are part of the trail. So all of this together could do some benefits for economic community development for the town. We also have the shorts with their beautiful metalwork, which is amazing. We'd like that to be part of the overall project. So that information will go in. I will be the first step in trying to get this done. Jane's been working on it for a long time. There's been a lot of changes at MDOT, and I don't view this as something typical that they do. And I've asked them what the rules are and haven't received any information yet. So I will do the first letter, and then we'll have the council swoop in and do another letter if we need to do that to move this along. So that's an interesting project. Next, we have a sew weekend, November 2nd and 3rd, 2019, that will take place at the Clarion Hotel in Portland to make quilts of valor. And so this is a very nice event. We met a lot of nice vendors at the quilt show, which is the astronomically wonderful quilt show. Howard got to say something first before I did. I just have to back up what he's indicated in that it was just astronomically beautiful. Just seeing the beautiful stained glass windows with all the quilts, it was very stunning, and it looked like a lot of work to put together. And people were just amazed with the quilts, and they had to put up signs that people would not touch the quilts because you wanted to touch all of them. So that's a sew weekend from one of the vendors. Next item, you already mentioned the ordinance committee, but we did solve on a short-term basis the sludge management item. We also will be looking at several other items, but in the long term, we've got some complicated ordinances that came from the 70s that were carried forward in the ordinance book and codified, and they need to be detailed out better so that it's more understandable and will be more in fitting with the materials that you can properly spread now. The 2019 Capital Improvement Plan, which was our loan, closed early. We were so fortunate that the bank was just absolutely wonderful to work with. That was Camden National Bank. I got emails back Friday night, Saturday. You never hear from bank officials on the weekend, so that was really good. They moved up our closing so that we could go forward and do a lot of projects. Otherwise, we would have borrowed from some of our funds, and that would have been complicated, but we could do it. And so I had done an update. We have a number of items that are on the agenda this evening. We have pushed out all projects that are in the capital improvement budget within the actual budget paid for by taxes, and also within that loan. And so the town office's telephone system had been taken out of the capital budget to save money because the tax rate was just going to be too high with the budget that had been proposed and then adopted and then unadopted and then redone. So we did put out proposals for the telephone system because it can do some interesting things. It's very old and complicated, and instead of owning a system, we think we can fit this within the budget if we just lease something. So there's a lot of options out there. We did get proposals come in today, so we'll see what we can do with those. We have the office tiling the floors and the move, and so that will be coming out to take place on August 23rd through the 26th. So that will be an experience here. Because there's a lot of items upstairs. So the upstairs will be done first for the tiling, and then once we recover from that, we'll do the downstairs area, which will be a lot easier. That can be done during the week. The project for the town offices will close it down on a Friday, in which they move everything out. The tiling company will come in on Saturday and Sunday and do their work, and then Monday we will move everything back in and be ready to open at Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So this will be interesting. The next project was the generator replacement. That was taken out of the budget to try to reduce taxes. So we did get proposals on that for the budgeting for next year, and it is so expensive it will have to go to next year. But currently we have a very old surplus generator. It can't take care of the entire building or even part of it. It's just got a few items set up to it, and we really need to be able to run the computers and the other things if we have an emergency going on. So you can function, but it would be much better if we can hook up more items. So that will be something for 2020. The other items that are within the budget, you will see later, the request for proposals that have been put together. And so those are on the agenda. Going down to the funds that were part of the $706,000 loan that came through this month. We have 2 items on the agenda for the roof replacement, so you'll see those. We had already put out to bid and received excellent bids in this day and age for the paving, and so that was committed a couple of meetings ago. We have the compactor that's there, that's being researched now for that project to go forward. And then in special revenues and trust accounts, these are monies that we have on the books from other funds that the auditor had mentioned. We have an item going out to bid for the back walkway area, so we have the funds for that. The mower we got, and then another mower we'll be looking at too, so we have the funds for that. And being researched is the baler replacement too. So everything is onward here. The 2019 tax commitment and tax bills have been issued by the new auditor. And so the tax rate will be $21.95 per thousand. It was $21 last year. So we are under 1 mil, which is very good. Partially because of the homestead exemption and how that's changed a little bit. The valuation stayed good. Revenues are good. And you did some budget trimming here. So those tax bills will be going out shortly. We will be have ordered a security system that has cameras and video for the office. In this day and age, police can't always be in the office. The ladies have had some, and gentlemen, have had some interesting customers, and so we think that this will be very helpful. I resisted this for a long period of time, but we're in a day and age when we do need to do this for security, and our insurance company was very happy that we had decided to do that. Next item is the Moses sales training. Moses has been something for ATVs, snowmobiles, and boat licenses that people have been interested in. And so this is a system that is set up free of charge from the state of Maine, similar to the birth, marriage, and death certificate system. The people do have to come to the town office anyway to do this, but it makes a big record system that's available, less paperwork, and we can reconcile things easier. So the staff all signed up in September to go to the one yearly training to get that. And then there'll be a presentation at the next meeting about the web-based renewals, which is for motor vehicles, ATVs, snowmobiles, boats, fishing, and hunting licenses. This is where you can order the items over your phone, or as long as you're hooked up to a printer. And you can do that outside the office on the weekends or whenever works for you for your renewals. So that'll be a presentation at the next meeting. Councilor Billings had brought up the Maine Digital Government Summit that she was interested in going to. So that would be great for her to go to. That would be on October 22nd, 2019. That's a big governor's proposal, talking with all these different vendors about digital and things that you can do. And that's something that we'll probably have staff members that will be interested in going, as well as perhaps other councilors. We received workers' compensation insurance dividend last week for good risk management practices. So thank you, Donnie, as safety officer. Favorable loss experience. And our rating is well below 1, which is excellent. We're down at 0.89, so this is really good. The lower you are, the better it is. So that was wonderful. We received notification from the Federal Railroad Administration that our quiet zone remains in effect again in 2019, and that means that the trains do not blow their whistles downtown at the Main Street crossing. So usually they were blowing them years ago, in the middle of the night, because that's when the trains come through. So that was done as a quiet zone. We have to keep all the signs up and everything. Our Recreation Department, through Devin, has applied for a grant to Walmart for an AED device for the swimming pool. So thank you, Devin. We received a report which we'll distribute from the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments about the energy audit preliminary results. So this was very interesting and showed good savings. If we were to switch over, we would have everything on it regarding the bills that we would be able to do for the buildings. But changing over to LED lightings for the CMP lights actually is very good now. That's something that we looked at over the years, and it never really worked out well, but now it does, so that is very good. So KBCOG got a grant from the Department of Economic and Community Development to do a study for all the towns, and 8 towns in the 62 area signed up for it. So we were one of them. So that's a project Michael's been working on. So we'll do a presentation on that at the next meeting. Getting down to the end here, we got an Efficiency Maine grant for small businesses for LED lighting. We had looked at all the buildings, we're all excited. The state said, or I should say, Efficiency Maine is separate from the state. They said that we qualified, and then they found out once they studied us that only the library qualifies. But they will get an $880 grant toward LED lighting for some of the areas that hadn't been updated to LED lighting, so that's good. So the town office and the other buildings will still look for these grants, and we'll find something at some point. Our lighting was updated, I think it was 12 years ago, which we thought was wonderful, but now we know it, there's advancements and everything that are for the employees, saves money, and really much better lighting. The water system review by Oliver Associates will be a presentation next month. This was a really good move, very good move. We'll be doing a hydrant flushing that will be coming up. All fire hydrants will be flushed starting August 19th, and that process will be completed by September 20th. During that time period, there will be intermittent pressure fluctuations, as there always have been. The notice that Oliver Associates gives out talks about how there will be occasional yellow water or water with black particles. The yellow color in the water is due to the presence of iron. The black particles are due to the presence of manganese. And when experiencing discolored water, they indicate do not use Clorox bleach products with your laundry. Flush appliances and drain your water heaters following the flushing period. All of our associates will be working with the current staff, and we'll get the departments together to do a massive flushing so that we start from where the water comes in and go all the way through the town and then go all the way out. And we'll do that a couple of times. That should help with significantly with that manganese issue, rather than just a small flushing, which they've done.
What was the September date?
Yeah, I'll make sure that, we're gonna have this in the paper and September 20th.
September.
Yeah, so basically a month. So that
Yep.
will be flushing the whole system in an organized fashion, front and back. And then the last item that I'll mention is the renewal application for the main waste discharge license for the wastewater treatment plant, which is our lagoon system. That comes up every 5 years, so we filed that on August 6th. I'll also note, we haven't set up the appointments yet because I wanted to talk to Caleb, but we're being contacted left and right by solar groups wanting to go to the airport and set up a solar system. And so they're doing this across the state, or at least this area. So we'll talk with those companies and see what's involved. And then the last item, which I got today, was the KV-COG Annual General Assembly. We'll be meeting on September 30th for their annual meeting. That will be 4 to 6 p.m. at the Colby Chase Forum, which is the new building on Main Street in Waterville. So Commissioner Heather Johnson from the Department of Economic Community Development will be there. She used to be the Somerset Economic Development Executive Director, if you recognize the name. They'll also have Charlie Springer from TRC Environmental. TRC Environmental had run the big CMP corridor project. So there will be 2 different viewpoints here on some interesting items. This is free of charge, so if anyone's interested, let me know by September 13th. It's a 4 to 6 o'clock. They've tried mornings, breakfasts, they've tried middle of the day, they tried evenings, and attendance has been low, so now they're trying 4 to 6 p.m. to see how that works.
Catherine,
Thank you.
said that's the KV-COG annual
That would be
meeting?
KV-COG annual meeting. It'll be very interesting.
And what was the date?
Yep, that date, and I'll send out information to you, September 30th. So it's a Monday night, 4 to 6 p.m.
Heather, did you have a question?
I did, but then she said one more
clarified.
sentence and answered it.
Okay.
Thank you for your indulgence. We've had quite a few weeks between meetings, and we've been working on lots of projects here. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Next is new business.
Resolution 19-73. Resolved that the town council authorize the treasurer and deputy treasurer to write off uncollectible personal property taxes for the years 1998 through 2018.
For a motion from the council.
Move to adopt resolution 19-73.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions and comments? I'll start with the audience. Anyone in the audience wish to comment on resolution 19-73? Any comments? No? Okay, now I'll turn over to council. Questions and comments, councilors, concerning this resolution?
I had a question. Is the totals listed through 2018 just to have them all there? I mean, shouldn't we be following like tax acquired properties? We don't kind of give up on that until after 3 years,
Okay.
So why would we be listing? It's not even been a year past that the 2018 ones would be due.
We put them all together because there are some 2018s that probably will be coming up in the future. But for this writing off process, because the ones that would be written off, we have collected extensive amounts of older personal property taxes, but these are totally uncollectible. So I just wrote it as a general write-up, so that we would be writing off the ones which are totally uncollectible, which totals $13,627.24. They basically are the 2 accounts that we were never able to collect any taxes on. One of the items that happens over the years is that almost everyone's very good, and they file their canvassing forms, and we get the values for the assessor, and they can issue the tax bills. But some people don't allow you to go on the property. The assessor is not allowed to go in, and the assessor doesn't get a canvassing form. And how fair is it that people don't send in things and then they don't get a tax bill? So the assessor under the law is allowed to estimate the tax if they do not have contact, to make it fair so that everybody has a tax burden. But in some cases, and there's just a few here, we've been unable to collect those items. You can't put a lien on because there's no serial numbers. You can't go to small claims court because you don't have the list of property and it gets thrown out. So these individuals have either passed away, moved out of state, moved away, we can't find them, or they have refused to pay it and indicated, they know that we can't collect it, which is true. So we can either write those off every couple of years, some towns do that, but when you do that, you also write off those that you can collect, because we used to do that, and money would come in after the fact, and then, we had to send it back because we weren't allowed to collect it because it had been written off. So we've left them on the books, but they do need to be written off.
So I don't see an actual amount on here. In this, am I not seeing it?
Are you talking $13,627?
There's a handout
that's
that's in the council package.
These are the ones that are being written off.
Correct, only those. We're still working, Emily and I are still working on a few of them.
And if you think you can get the money, or even some of it, I mean, I'm in favor of keeping it on the books for a long time in an effort to do that. But at some point,
At some point, yes.
especially if someone has passed away,
Yes. And then
I think
the
we
spouse
should just-
passes away,
right,
and
and then
then
we
the
just
relatives
say,
do,
we just say, that's enough with that.
Yeah, we're at the end there. And so we talked to the auditor, and so what we'll do is look these over next year, see if we've got any, we won't have much, and then maybe go on a 2-year process and see what we think, writing off the older ones.
Right.
So one of these looks like for 16 years they never paid anything.
Yeah, you have people that refuse to pay, they do not file the form, there is no process under the law to make them file the canvassing form.
So how do we even know what they're being taxed on?
We don't,
If
the
we
assessor guesses, especially, once in a while, there's a few of these.
So if I said the assessor can't come on my property anymore, he's just gonna guess at how many tractors I have?
Exactly, yeah.
That doesn't seem right at all.
No?
But
No,
then
it
you,
doesn't.
then you can't collect it either, so.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's a very adequate way of doing that, or even, it's, as somebody that has been paying their property tax,
Yeah.
it's kind of,
It's either that or you don't get anything at all.
And how fair is it not to give them a bill? So you try,
mean,
most people
if-
that get the bill do pay it.
If I'm paying my taxes and Matt decides he's not gonna pay his taxes and, we gotta have some way to, he needs to.
Well, that's provision under the law, right?
The Bureau of Property Taxation, when they go to school, explains out, because we went through this, that they can estimate it. And sometimes they tell the assessors that they can keep estimating it, getting it higher and higher. Sometimes that doesn't work either.
That could work in the opposite direction.
No. We are fortunate that most people do pay their personal property taxes, and you look at over that period of time from 1998 to 2018, we had $10.5 million of personal property that was assessed, and almost everything is paid up. So the amount that we would be writing off is 0.2 of 1%, 0.2 of 1%.
I think that's pretty good.
I know some of these properties have been up for years and haven't seen hide or hair of the owners. Some of them, like you said, some passed away. Some it's in somebody else's estate because both parents passed, and they're arguing and they're not gonna, they're out of state somewhere.
We also had one that said that he had sold items as of a certain date, but never told the assessor, and then, the bills kept coming and should have been addressed.
so what exactly is covered by personal property tax? If somebody has a boat, Caleb goes out and buys a boat, is that covered under personal property tax?
Boats are handled separately. There's a boat excise for most boats.
Okay, airplane, he bought an airplane.
Airplane excise tax.
That has a separate excise tax.
Yes.
So what
motorized
is
vehicles
personal
are
property?
separate. So what's actually covered by personal property?
I didn't bring the definition, but the furniture, fixtures,
Basically businesses.
the equipment, all the items that go with the business.
So this is like a business tax.
Correct.
So why do we call it personal property tax?
It's the law.
Rather
It's
than
the
like
way
a
they.
business
It's an
asset tax.
antiquated system of collecting money for town services, basically.
And so, my understanding, other towns around us do not have this, so why do we continue doing this?
We do.
Because the law requires it, and most towns do. There might be some small towns that don't do it.
So the state law requires,
Yeah.
but they don't give you the teeth to actually go in and
Right.
you need to fill this out, or,
Just like when they tell the schools that they have to start doing something new, but we're not gonna give you any money to do that.
In most cases, this works out well, but there are a few that doesn't, and we need to get them off the books. We're not gonna collect them.
and this money stays with the town, or do we send it to the state?
Personal property tax stays with the town. We used to be 28% personal property tax, and now we're way down, I think 12 or 13%. I'd have to double check that. That's because of the state law changes that we talked about over the years. That's what's affecting our tax rate. We used to have massive amounts of personal property, and some with mills too. But new items that are purchased in many categories are no longer taxed. So the older items that are here in town are being phased out. There are some categories that are still taxed, but most categories for new items are no longer taxed. There is also a business equipment tax that owners can apply for. We send out all, assessor sends out all the paperwork, but not everybody fills it out, in which they can get a rebate too for part of it.
And it's taxed at the same rate as the mill
Yes.
rate for a real estate property tax.
So we've come to the end here.
I think we should do away with it personally. I don't think that we should be doing that.
It would make life a lot easier for the town. Of course,
Well,
it
no,
would
I
be
guess, I think that, you
less
know, your
money.
businesses in town generate people coming to town. You know, they generate income to the town in other ways, and it seems like a double whammy to say, you know, you're gonna buy a piece of equipment, and then you have to continue paying a tax on that equipment every single year
That's the state for you.
until it reaches a certain point, and then it's just a flat rate. But you can never like own your equipment. You're always paying a tax on it, even though you could go pay for that equipment outright. It still costs you money every single year in a tax, which,
Hence the
there isn't
reason
anything
for
else that operates like
manufacturing
that.
moving out of the state,
one of the
because
taxes.
When I was 8 years old, my grandfather told me, he said, if anybody ever knocks on your door when you're an adult, and they say they're from the government, they're here to help you, run like heck, because the last person they're gonna help is you.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you buy equipment from outside the state of Maine, it's not taxable. So they're actually encouraging people not to give business to other businesses here in the state of Maine.
the law says that you're supposed to report it. So if I
But
buy
it's not, you can
something,
report it and it goes on the form, but it's not assessed in the tax. It's exempt from the tax. So if I wanna buy a new tractor, I can look out of state and then it doesn't apply to the tax burden there.
So we're gonna send you down to Augusta to straighten that out.
Well, that's the information that we
Yeah.
were given from our previous tax assessor.
I
Maybe
know.
he was incorrect, but my husband quizzed him on this.
It makes no sense at all.
No,
Makes
it
no
doesn't
sense at all,
make
it's
any sense.
counterproductive, and it makes
Yeah.
absolutely no sense, and I agree with you, it's stupid.
It'll eventually be phased out by the state of Maine, but it's a law now, so we enforce it.
All right, folks, any other questions on this resolution? We'll move this along. I understand the arguments, and I know it makes I agree with Heather 100%, it makes about as much sense as me and the moon. Okay, not hearing any sense, you're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 19-73, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes.
Resolution 19-74, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager and deputy tax collector to issue notices of tax-acquired property sale and place tax-acquired parcels out to bid as follows. Property map 12, lot 66, and map 12, lot 66-ON, located on 422 Honeywell Ave, Pittsfield, Maine. Property map 18, lot 64, located on 456 Cannon Road, Pittsfield, Maine. Property map 33, lot 41, located on 103 Waverly Street, Pittsfield, Maine. Property map 29, lot 23, located on 367 North Main Street, Pittsfield, Maine. Property map 5, lot 02-A, located on Snake Root Road, Pittsfield, Maine. And property map 4, lot 46, located on 1044 Main Street, Pittsfield, Maine.
Look for a motion from the council.
Move you adopt resolution 19-74.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Audience, anyone in the audience wish to comment on this resolution? Yes, and please state your name.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Hi.
Amanda Collmore, Library Street. I actually just have a question about the tax acquired property sales and how that works. Are these lots vacant lots, or are there people actually on the lots?
Yeah.
It's very rare for the town to have tax acquired property that has any buildings on it that are able to be taxable. In this case, we did close on a few properties, and we have been trying to work with the people for months, and we've come to the point where those people who have paid up their taxes own their property again. But in one case of these properties, there is somebody living at the property. We have gone to the property, we have called out, left messages, left notices, sent the police. Individual will not come to the door. So in this case, when these properties go out, they'll be given one last chance to redeem their property. If they do not, then they will go to the tax. They continue through the auction sort of acquired property process. People will go out and look at the properties. We might take a tour for people, because we have some properties that are reasonably nice, you know, that could be fixer-uppers for people to move to town, or for other people to move into from apartments. And so if a property is sold that has somebody living there, which has only happened to us once before in all these years, the new owner of the property inherits that issue and has a tenant, and then they will deal with that. Normally this does not happen, but in this case it may happen if the taxes are not paid out. So we set the dates way ahead so that the individuals get one more chance to pay up their taxes and own their property again. They have to pay up all the taxes that are due, and then if that doesn't happen, it goes out to the entire public, and then we advertise it as heavily as we can, and then people will put in bids for it. We set the prices so that they are not exorbitant, so they're to entice people, but that we can pay off the taxes and everything that's due to the public.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just so the public knows, the last thing we want to do is throw people off their property. We go above and beyond trying to work with people to, if it's at all feasible, if they want to stay there. We don't want to be putting people out unless we absolutely have no choice. And like she said, it's only happened once. So.
Once before. When I came to town, you had 51 tax acquired properties on the books, and that was one of my first projects, and that was mobile home parks, businesses. That was just amazing. I won't tell you some of the stuff we found in the properties when we went. It's kind of scary, but we got that all worked out. One of these has been on here before. We'd already foreclosed on it, and this property is on North Main Street as you go up by the vets. The pictures that are on the cards look better than the properties do, so we did take new pictures because those are the older pictures, and so we put that one in here with these other ones. And so we have two properties that go together, land and that has a strange storage building on it, and then there's a mobile home on the other property. So those are the Honeywell ones. The Canyon Road is the former property that was the pet care location. And that was one of our loans, which was a massive amount of money due to the town that had to be, we collected some, but the rest had to be written off as a foreclosure or bankruptcy and everything. And you can't collect in certain cases, and that was one. So that actually had the outbuildings burned, and the fire department came down and said, well, you know, this has actually made the property more valuable now for you. So we'll do a little project to clean up there. The Waverly Avenue is a home on a small piece of land that has been owned by 3 different parties and is vacant. The 367 North Street property is the one I mentioned before. We had foreclosed due to sewer lien, and advertised that twice and couldn't get any bites. If you stand in front of the building really close, you can look through it. You can see inside. You know, it basically needs to be bulldozed over. It's a nice little lot. That's some of these could be bulldozed over, and then the lots would be, you know, quite sellable. And then we've got a couple of pieces of land.
Catherine, if the town is aware that there's somebody still in the buildings, is that disclosed before the bids are placed so that people understand that they may be inheriting a tenant?
Normally for these properties that are in better condition, it's likely when we get to this point we'll go on a tour, because what will happen is people say we want to go look at it, we want to go in, we want to walk the property. That one we won't be able to get in, but we'll put one more notice there to tell the person if this does happen. But yes, because we'll go to the property, do a little tour, and they'll know.
Anyone else in the audience wish to comment on this? Okay, I'll turn it over to councilors, even though we've been kind of commenting off and on. Councilors, questions and comments, any other questions or comments, I guess is the best way to put it. That's kind of one of the conversations that's easy to get drawn into. Questions, comments? Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 19-74, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that passes as well.
Resolution 19-75, resolved that the town council sign the application for a license for special taste testing event for the Maine Cheese Festival to be held on Sunday, September 8, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Manson Park.
Look for a motion from the council.
Resolution 19-75. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience wish to make a comment concerning resolution 19-75? No questions or comments? Okay, not hearing any, I'll turn it over to the council. Questions or comments? Pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. The rest of it sounds like Captain Obvious. That's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, no comments? Not hearing any, I sense you ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 19-75, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution passes as well.
Resolution 19-76, resolved that the town council approve all necessary permits for the Maine Cheese Festival to include a public exhibition, performance, show, special amusement permit, and farmers market license, if applicable.
Look for a motion from the council.
Move to adopt resolution 19-76.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience, any questions or comments concerning this resolution? None? Okay, turn over to the council. Council, questions or comments? Self-explanatory.
Yeah, I did list special amusement permit because there will be the little tastings and music there, so technically it did qualify, but just to make sure we had everything. The farmers market license, we haven't heard back yet, but we'll hear shortly if that's going to be needed or not, so I added that on just to make sure.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, councilors? Not hearing any, I sense you ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 19-76, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes. Council, we're going to be passing over resolution 19-77 as it is not set yet.
Yeah, it's not needed. We didn't know at the time. I wanted to make sure, because we had 3 weeks in between the meetings, and we wanted to make sure that if a permit was needed, that we didn't hold up things, so we're all set. It's not needed.
We don't need the permit.
No, we don't.
Is that one of the permits that we, so that the employees can issue now? Or was that just the lunch wagon special vendor license?
That's the lunch wagon.
Oh.
Yeah, transient signage.
So we'll go right down to resolution 19-78.
Resolution 19-78, resolved that the town council approve the request for proposals to purchase sand for the 2019-2020 winter season and authorize the public works foreman to seek bids for sand.
Look for a motion from the council.
Will be adopt resolution 19-78.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience wish to comment? Questions or comments concerning resolution 19-78? Yes, ma'am.
Amanda Collmore, Library Street. I only have one question. Why don't we reuse the sand that the street sweepers pick up? My driveway, I'm not saying anything bad against it because my driveway is awesome because of that sand. Seriously, when they street sweep my area, it gets dropped in my driveway and we have built it up. It's so much nicer and it drains really, really well. So I've benefited from that, but I'm wondering why we can't reuse it if I can use it for that purpose.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Mr.
Thank
Vance. Mr. Vance looks like the resident expert in this field. Mr. Vance, the floor is
I mean, I don't
yours.
want to stop receiving it or anything, but.
Okay, so it's got wood in it, okay, when you sweep it up. It's got glass in it, it's got metal in it, it got whatever anybody's described or fell off their car or anything else in it. So it would have to go through quite a screening process
Okay.
in order to make it usable. It wouldn't be worth it. Sand's a losing deal. It's a great deal, and sometimes that's the only thing that works, but it's a losing deal in the long run because you buy it, you add salt to it, you spread it, you gotta clean it up, you gotta suck it out of your catch basins. Everybody's gotta clean it off their lawn. It's expensive when you add everything all together. But
So it's cheaper to get new sand than to filter it?
yeah, it is. It's cheaper to salt actually, as much as you can.
What does happen to that sand that the sweeper sweeps up, Steve?
What's that?
What does happen with that sand that the sweeper sweeps up?
It goes in a pile, and we use it for, if somebody would like, if somebody will take that, or wants that, we'll use that, but typically we use it as fill. Right now, I'm using the pile to straighten out the inert pile down to the dump. So we're gonna pushing that up, we're gonna ramp that up, we're gonna make it so it drains, and then it's gonna be maintained in the future.
Beneficial cover.
Correct, correct. Yeah, and I'll use it to fill some of the holes in the old pit in the future. So I can reclaim that for use by the town. That's my plan.
So we are recycling.
Yes.
By the pit, do you mean the divots in the cover that Johnny was talking about?
Well, we've
No, no.
got 35 years of bricks, concrete culverts that have come from projects in town, from Chimbro, and we've probably got, 3,000 or 4,000 cubic yards of that material. And when you're dumping bricks and that sort of stuff in that area, after so many generations, it's all over the place, so.
Right. So my plan is, because you're always looking for a place for ditches, you're always looking for a place to put your sweepings, and find suitable places to use that. One is the inert pile, keeping that buried and accessible. Two, the old pit has got a bunch of pits in the area. They're just big holes that fill with water, and it's town property, and it's just growing up with trees. My long-term goal is that we get that clear cut, okay, so you can actually access it, and probably stump it, and fill in those holes, and that can be used for future lay-down areas or areas where we do have to dump around there or whatnot. But, yeah, it's town property that I can't use right now, that I can fill in for pretty much, I gotta haul it somewhere anyway, so why not do that?
And we do have a laydown yard that is very limited. They're taking down 38 trees at MCI on the front of campus. And one of those laydown yards, most of that wood is coming to that laydown yard for people to benefit for firewood and heating, so we're gonna make sure that gets used.
If they wanna go in and work it up, they can, yeah.
You're taking 38 trees off the front of.
They're diseased.
What?
They're diseased, they're falling apart.
What?
They're bad.
They've reached the end of their life. and they just have to-
The student's gonna end up getting hurt. They're pretty bad. I don't know what the permanent plan is, but they're looking at the tree cover.
There's a lot of things
to do.
Don't want to cut anybody off, but to move this along, is anybody else got any questions or comments concerning this resolution? I know we've been this is another one of these things that kind of bleeds over, and that's fine, because we need to get the information out there, so I allow it. If nobody else has any questions on this, council, do you have any more questions or comments concerning this? Like I said, I'm not trying to cut you short, I just want to keep moving along here.
Well, I do have one question about the, these, last year there were, I should say in the spring, there were complaints by some of the residents that it was gravel being spread instead of sand. So briefly, how do you decide how small or whatnot for the sand that's used during the winter?
Well, you pay a premium for premium stuff. So the budget I inherited pretty much is for a certain amount to buy winter sand with. So we have had sand with heavy amounts of clay in it, which is another type of nuisance, which has smaller aggregate in it.
Right.
We always look at how close the haul is. But the contractor, partially it's our fault and partially the contractor's fault. The contractor could not screen to as small as you normally have, which would be, typical would be a 1/4 inch slatted screen.
Okay.
That means you're not gonna have anything more than 1/4 inch in it in width, even though it could be longer than 1/8, say 3/8, 1/2 inch, whatever.
I just remember Mrs. Vigil bringing in the rock.
Yeah, I'd say those bigger rocks did not come from the cleaning process, but came from our loading, because we loaded the sand. That was part of the deal. And I think we got into the pit bottom and picked up some rocks that, yeah, I mean, they didn't all land on Peter's property. They landed a little bit everywhere. I do notice that if I look at the cover of what's left remaining in the sand, I had smaller rocks in it than I did the year before. But every once in a while, I still dig one up from that, so.
I was just curious.
No, we tightened it up. But this time, and going forward, the adopted specs of, it will pass through basically a 3/8C, 100% will pass through a 3/8C.
So that's the big part that you were talking about, the sieve screening size. Everything's less than, 100% less than 3/8 of an inch. 0 to 5% could be 200
Correct.
pounds.
No, that's a 200
Number.
sieve. That's your
Oh, a
pound.
number 200 sieve. Okay, so it goes from size to
So your
changes in
200
sieve.
sieve is pretty much what you find, get measured. And that's done by weight, so if you took a pound sample, 100% of the pound passes through to the 1/4 inch, okay, 100% passing, okay? And then if it went 90% beyond that, basically 10% of the weight would be remaining, the weight.
Okay.
And that's how gravel's graded,
Got it.
or sand's graded.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's, you want 1/4 inch sand, that's how you get it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Steve, for explaining all that, because it's confusing to the average person.
You can't run along.
Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to comment on this resolution? Okay, not hearing it, I'll turn it over to council. Any other questions or comments, council's concerning this resolution? No? Not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 19-78, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution passes.
Resolution 19-79. Resolved that the town council approve the request for proposals to replace the municipal building and fire station roof and authorize the public works foreman to seek bids for same.
Look for a motion from the council.
We adopt resolution 19-79.
Second?
Moving second, questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience have a question or comment concerning resolution 19-79? No? Okay, then I'll turn it over to councilors. Questions, comments, councilors? No questions, no comments?
I think it's great.
Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 19-79, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes.
Resolution 19-80, resolved that the town council approve the request for proposals to wash, seal, and repoint the municipal building and authorize the public works foreman to seek bids for same.
Call for motion.
Move we adopt resolution 19-80.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience wish to have a comment or question concerning resolution 19-80? Anyone? Okay, not hearing any, I'll turn it over to council. Council's questions or comments? No questions, no comments. Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 19-80, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes as well.
Resolution 19-81, resolved that the town council approve the request for proposals to replace masonry that is part of the fire station and authorize the public works foreman to seek bids for same.
Look for motion from the council.
We adopt resolution 19-80.
81.
81.
Do I hear a- Moved in second. 81. Questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience wish to have any comments or questions concerning resolution 19-81? No, any questions or comments? Not hearing any? I'll turn it over to the council. Council, questions or comments concerning resolution 19-81?
Is this more extensive than 1980? You know, I mean, as far as they're replacing the masonry? Is this
One of the walls, right?
is this the wall replacement?
We got 4 feet of wall replacement. This is fire station.
Okay.
So you got 4 feet that's showing fluorescence, the brick's giving up. One of the biggest mistakes of when this building was added, to try to blend things and clean things up, make it all look new when this was added compared to the old, so they sandblasted that brick.
Took the finish off.
You took the glaze off. So now you have all your salts down low, you know, your salting walkways, parking lots, whatnot. That has
Eaten away.
gone into the cement and concrete because the floors are open. There is no way. So it attacked it quickly. And just on that parking lot corner.
Go look at it, you can see it all over the ground.
Yeah, you can see where it's actually popped the face of bricks off and some.
Yeah.
And it's even bled through and affected the inside. So you got to replace the 2 face. I would say that's probably a 4-layer wall. Okay, so you're going to have to peel off up to 4 feet high and relay the brick, glazed brick, with something you can match as best as possible. Right? And then if the building had been sealed properly after that process, we wouldn't have been in this boat and maintained, you know.
So that'll get done first, and then the rest of the pointing and sealing will be done after the replacement, or?
The replacement should be done first.
When do you anticipate this being done, if we're doing, bids September 10th? Because we would have to award bids with the following meeting, the last meeting in September.
You could award the bid this year.
Probably won't get done until next year.
So you don't anticipate this being done till maybe spring?
It might not be done till spring, depending on if they run out of weather.
So I didn't hear what it was that you were asking.
I was asking when when he anticipated the work to be done, and since we're getting bids on September 10th, we, as a council, wouldn't be approving a bid for work to be done until at earliest the second meeting in September. So that would leave like the first week of October for them to start work. For masonry work, you're temperature dependent for some of it, so might not be till next year that
It might be
the
best
work actually gets done, so
on the
it
spring.
depends.
but the contract could be awarded,
Mhm.
as long as they are understanding, they might even state that themselves.
Yeah.
Your roof's gonna be in the same time frame, which is okay. As long as you don't have, as long as you got the weather and you don't get into the freeze, yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see these projects moving along.
Any other questions or comments concerning this resolution, councilors? Any questions? Okay, not hearing any, since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 19-81, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution passes.
Resolution 19-82. Resolved that the town council approve the request for proposals to replace the municipal building walkway and authorize the public works foreman to seek bids for same.
Look for a motion from the council.
We adopt resolution 19-82. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments concerning resolution 19-82? Any comments? Okay, not hearing any, I'll turn it over to council. Council, questions or comments concerning this resolution?
Are we removing any of the bushes and stuff that are out back too in order to do this?
I'm gonna remove a little bit of the triangle in order to make it a straight walkway, and not one that's just sort of in a whatever. On that left side, I won't be getting into that.
This side going out or coming in?
The side coming in on the right, left side going out.
Okay. Just because a lot of the bushes there just look terrible.
Should have seen them when I came.
They're kind of dying and they're like.
No, they were 6-7 feet tall when I came.
Yeah, they're like an invasive species too, so.
They are.
Should probably just take them out if they catch weeds.
Gonna take them, in my
Tidy
opinion,
up the
take them
walkway.
out, the flower garden would be a lot better than those bushes in that corner.
Well, the problem is the roots. It's roots getting down in there too, so it's.
We just pull
Yeah.
them. Yep.
No.
Having a hard time keeping certain branches of them alive anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, they were actually pruned back from 6 feet tall.
Oh, I believe it.
Yep.
They grow like crazy.
I say no plants, no gardens, no bushes. Period. Get rid of that stuff so we don't have to worry about it.
All right, councilors, any other questions or comments concerning resolution 19-82? Not hearing any, I sense you're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 19-82, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, that resolution passes as well.
Resolution 19-83. Resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to execute a memorandum of agreement, MOA, between the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the town of Pittsfield to supersede leases number DTFA 12-99-15383, DTFANE-05-L-0036, and all other previous agreements for the construction, operation, and maintenance of FAA-owned navigation, communication, and weather aids for the support of air traffic operations at the Pittsfield Municipal Airport, which are REIL and PAPI facilities.
Look for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt resolution 19-83.
Second.
You had said a mouthful, I can tell you.
Like, my God.
All right, questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience wish to comment on this resolution? Mike?
Caleb can probably answer. Any chance of getting a remote weather reporting system down there, or is it too far-fetched?
Well, right now we've been working with Lifelight of Maine to get some sort of weather reporting down there, and it all started a little while ago when they, but it's kind of a multi-stage process through them. And one of the things that they want, the first stage was they wanted to put a camera up. So they did put a camera up on my building that would just give them, like, that would give them and the public, you know, I mean anybody, like a live feed so they could see what the weather was there. And they put it up on my building, and it didn't really give a good picture of the runway conditions. So they're working with the FAA to put up one closer to the runway so they could actually see a little closer, because they couldn't quite get a digital zoom in on the right angle. So we are working towards that with them, but it's I suspect it'd be
Couple of years.
yeah, and it certainly won't come from the FAA. It'll come from Lifelight. So.
Thank you, Mike. Audience, anyone else in the audience have any questions or comments concerning Resolution 19-83? No questions or comments? Not hearing any, I'll turn over to council. Questions or comments, councilors, concerning this resolution? Any questions? No? Not hearing any, since you're ready to vote. All those in favor of Resolution 19-83, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes.
Resolution 19-84. Resolved that the town council appoint Devin Varney to fill the vacancy on the pool committee.
Look for motion.
Move we adopt resolution 19-84.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Audience, anyone in the audience wish to comment on Resolution 19-84? Any questions? No? Not hearing, I'll turn it over to council. Councilors, questions and comments concerning Resolution 19-84? Any questions? No? Okay, not hearing any, I sense you're ready to vote. All those in favor of Resolution 19-84, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and that resolution passes as well.
Thank you.
Next, yeah, thank you. Next is discussion items.
Yes, very briefly, the financial reports are on here for discussion for 7/31/2019. You have copies of those in front of you. You also have a digital one that was sent to you. So, very briefly, for the financial reports, budget, we are through 58.33% of the period as of July 31st. And for just municipal expenditures, we're through 51.2% in the budget, so that's good, keeping it lower than the amount that would have been spent if you spent the same amount each month. And for water, sewer, and municipal, we're through 47% of the expenditures in the budget, and that would be lower because there are certain entries that are done at the end of the year for water and sewer. For the revenues, we are through again 58.33% of the period. We're gaining ground here. We always start out slow. We are still low on revenue collections. For municipal, just municipal, we're at 37.9% of the collections have come in. And for water, sewer, and municipal, which is 39.1% has been received. And we've got a few more water sewer bills that have to go out, so that will increase that because the July bills went out in August rather than July 31st, a couple of days in August. So that will get caught up. For the state revenue sharing and excise tax, we always report on those as they are the major part of the municipal revenues besides taxes. Excise tax collection, we are catching up in that we are $19,842 less than this time last year, and that can differ substantially from one year to another. It depends on when the fleets, when the trucks are registered. They can all be registered in a December ahead of a January. They can be go behind from a December to a January. So it just depends on the fall, but over a 2-year period, it ends up equaling out. So the next one is state revenue sharing, and there will be some increases in that coming through because the state of Maine approved increases back to the towns. And so we got our first check, which had come in $13,969 more than this time last year. So for the total, we are ahead of last year at July 31st by $26,407, which cancels out the excise tax being behind. You also have all of the theater budgets as well as everything else that was submitted. And so you've got the working theater budget that we're using. You've got all the revenues and the expenditures, as does the theater committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Next is reports. Audience. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak this evening? And if you do, please state your name. I know you, but if somebody tuned in for the first time, they don't know who you are. Can't imagine that. Anyone in the audience wish to speak this evening? Yes, sir.
I'm Mike Cray. I'm sure you all know me. I'd like to know the status right now of the SRO position. I know that we are currently working under an MOU with SAD 53. I just want to know if that MOU is still in effect and we're still working with that same staff.
So it's the same status as when you had called me and we met on that Saturday, a couple of weeks ago. We're still working under the MOU, and the principal, Sherry Littlefield, and the school board have been very understanding of the town in that we're working through the process and going through the proper steps to fill that position for the remainder of 2019. And so deadlines have been set, and the police chief is very committed to the project. The principal is, and myself, and we will go through all the steps and see where we end up.
Okay. Until that's filled, though, we're still working at the same, under the same MOU. And
It's the same
everything's
MOU.
The same.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So everything's the same at this point
Yes.
until that position is filled.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mike.
And we'll zip through that as soon as we can. The union had asked for some additional days, so we're working our way through that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
The MOU goes through December?
Yes, that would be correct.
Anybody else in the audience this evening wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I just wondered, I know that Jamie had some trouble regarding bills that were just getting paid now from 2018. And I know that a key had been shut off for movie service and she'd had some trouble with the projector. And I just wanted to double check and make sure that those things had all been paid and worked out. And
So the key came through, which I'm sure Jamie had reported to you. Some bills showed up from the, I would say, the middleman. We used to have a booker who may not, it appears, has not billed the town. We never saw anything of that size or magnitude for any amount. We used to pay for a booker who would send us bills and then send us another bill, you know, and it was like 3 bills for the same movie. And so we canceled that booker and had the theater manager do it. And evidently, when Jamie contacted the movie studios, we came onto their radar and they found some old bills, which would have been issued to him, and he would have issued bills to us, but did not. And so we had to pay it out, regardless of whether it's all ours or not, in order to get the key. So we just took care of it.
So they were his bills.
So is it resolved now?
Yes.
I
Yes.
think what he was doing was, so it's either $350 or they go by 35%, and I think he was charging the 35%, and then at the end of the movie, somehow he would bill the rest of it that way.
It was
It's a silly way
very
to do
complicated.
it. Yeah.
But this whole thing has been now is.
Oh yeah, that was all resolved. Hopefully there's not others out there. But that was
There
quite
was
a
one more, but we got it taken care of.
That was quite a surprise because we're talking back in May of 2018.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Amber. Any other questions, counselors? Questions, yeah. I need a second comment. Any other comments, counselors? Anybody else wish to speak this evening? Yes, sir. Please state your name. I know you've got a well-known face, but, you know, just because.
I'm not sure how much to take that. Ron Watson, 175 Main Street. So I just wanted to report on a couple of things. First, the Pittsfield chapter of Code for America has met twice. We've agreed to actually become an official chapter. We've been in communications with the Code for America organization, which is a national organization that works with digital infrastructure from a municipal, state, and federal level. So we've got that up and going, and our next meeting is going to be in a few weeks. So keep an eye on Facebook and on meetup.com for that. Additionally, as was spoken about briefly earlier, the Historical Society and several local businesses are going to be hosting a Taste for Pittsfield event later this year. We're hoping for October 20th. We need to finalize that date, which is why the issue was passed over this evening. But I'm very excited to have local vendors offering their food and bring some people into town that might not be coming in otherwise. And lastly, I just wanted to touch base. So one of the suggestions that I think it was Councilor Donahue that made the suggestion earlier with regards to finding a way to get the warrants signed a little bit more quickly during the interim when there's a big break between meetings. And one thought that I had was maybe finding a way to do a digital signature instead of having people come in and sign. Digital signatures are used for everything from, signing for birth certificates to signing for mortgages now. So there's got to be a legal way for us to do that, I would think. I'm not obviously the expert, but that might be something to look into.
Yeah, other items we can't do, but we'll check on that to see if we could do the warrants. But a lot of other items we can't do. But that's a good item.
Yeah, that'd save time and effort.
It would.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I had. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Ron. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak this evening? No one? Okay, then I'll turn it over to Council's Nine. We'll start with Deborah.
Okay. Devin is gone, but I'm glad that he was appointed to that committee, and I think that he'll do good things with the pool, so. And that's all I have.
Okay. Heather.
I'm glad to see that we have all the capital projects finally moving along with the buildings and everything. And I want to thank everyone for the great turnout we had for Open Farm Day. We estimated we had 200 or 300 people come out to the farm. So we had 4 other farms there, so it was really nice to expose people to lots of different kinds of farms. InSource Renewables also came out and talked to people about the new solar system that we have. The fire department was there. They kept running out of food, so next year we'll make sure that they're more well stocked on that. So as far as the cheese build goes, it's coming up pretty quick. It's only like 3 weeks away. So we really need volunteers. So we need about 40 more volunteers. There's a link on the Cheesefield website, maincheesefield.org, if you want to volunteer. You can volunteer the day of or the day before doing setup. You get a free ticket to the event. Depending on what you're volunteering for, you also get a meal ticket. So it's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of neat people, and we need people with all different kinds of skill levels, from cutting up cheese samples to helping arrange parking. And actually, the fire department's going to be doing the parking. Thank you, Donnie. All different skill levels are needed. Some muscle needed to set up tents and things like that too. So. Go online and sign up to volunteer.
Do you have an age requirement for volunteers?
That I don't know. There might be information on the volunteer form. And on the volunteer form is kind of like a Google Doc that will gather everyone's information. I think there's items in there that you can check off, like when you're available and what kind of things that you can help with. So there's options in there too. I think they've had kids help before, and we do have cheese fairies, so that's a fun thing for kids to do too. Basically, you carry around a plate of cheese and you make people happy because you're feeding them cheese. And we do have wings and little things if you want to wear them. So
I'm just thinking community service project for high school.
Yeah, definitely. Any of the Keep Code members or other high school kids that need their community service time can sign off on a slip if they need that too. So, great. Just have them go online to the website and have them sign up for that. So, lots of fun. Pray for sunshine. That's all I have, I think.
Thank you. Howard.
I don't have too much. I only wanted to make a comment about the former mayor's town manager's house, Mr. Dougherty's house on Somerset. And I have issue with the ladders that are currently up to the roof, and I know that I've seen somebody occasionally work on the quote-unquote front steps, which is a stretch, and I can't imagine that person making it halfway up the ladder, let alone all the way. And I think it's a danger, it's a risk. And at some point, one of our youths is going to take a dare to see if they can get to the top of the ladder. So I'd
Or
like to
they'll
see it
just steal
taken
the
down.
ladder.
You know, and not be put up. Because certainly the person that's quote unquote supposed to be fixing up that home doesn't have the ability to get up to the roof, let alone carry shingles and fix it up. You know, it's a big hole in the roof, and I think that's only a stairway for the squirrels to get in easier. So that's all I have.
Yeah, so the code officer has been working with the gentleman and encouraging him to perhaps sell the property or not do the work himself. It is very worrisome, but people do have the right to their property, and we are told, you know, we have an attorney and we're going to do what we want. But he's going to go out there again with assistance and explain about these ladders, because yes, they are an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it is his property, but it's
It's
just
property, but
inviting.
I mean, there are things falling off the house.
Yeah.
It's a health hazard.
Yeah.
You know, it's a risk to the community. You know, you got roofing falling into Farnham Brook. You know, God knows if it's plugging up. You know, some of the sewer lines and the outflow. So. You know, I'd really like to see something done about that. It's just not not good for the town.
We may try another legal letter, but it is a
Taxes paid up on it?
Yes, yes.
Too bad.
I know, it is a shock, because that is the former Community Economic Development Director for the town of Pittsfield.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but point well taken, yes.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Howard.
Yep.
Matt?
No report, thank you.
Okay. Caleb?
No report.
Bob?
I just have a couple of things. Catherine, you mentioned the phone system. Is that working correctly? I tried calling today and I got the voicemail is full. I had to call a different number. I had to call a different number.
Yeah, you may have missed the meeting when we discussed how the phone system has taken over the building here. It was taken
Literally.
It was taken out of the capital budget as part of the budget negotiations and that reconsideration meeting. However, we have it out to bid, not to buy a system, but just to lease something to get by, or maybe we'll get a good deal. There are mechanisms in which we've gone in and you keep turning off the voicemail, which tries to take control of the phone system. It's just very ancient. You know, it's about 21 years old, or maybe more. And something.
So, I mean, I remember I was on the council when we did that out.
Yeah, you were there.
I was. When we did that out back in 2000, I think.
She didn't mean the part about that being ancient.
Thank you.
No, I didn't. But yes, that's out to bid. So.
Okay. I'd like to thank Donnie and the town employees for stepping up and getting that work done at the airport. That's a very important piece of
We eradicated a lot of ticks down there. I
good.
killed a lot of them on me.
But thanks you guys for stepping up and doing that. That's going to make that project go a lot faster. Jamie, thank you for your work at the theater. Sounds like you've got your hands full down there. But it looks like things are coming along fairly well. You keep up the good work. And Catherine, you also thank you for the audit. You did a great job getting that together, and all your hard work.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I'll try to be brief. I've only got a few things, just a couple, 3 things. I wanted to thank Devin for coming in. That was good. For volunteering on the pool committee. Good audit, Catherine. That's good that we had that. Went very well. Movie theater I'm impressed with, because, like I said, I've been to a couple other movie theaters and they're drawing 8 to 10 people. Anytime you can draw 250, you're doing very well. So it sounds like that's going along very well. Considering it's a work in progress, it's going along very well. Thank you, Donnie, for all you guys did down there. It's appreciated very much, all the people that worked with you. Thank you, Steve, for coming in and explaining some things, because I know it's like pulling, you know, it's not, it's one of the things that it's almost like getting your tooth pulled. You hate to do it, but we appreciate you giving us, because it does help us, you know, insightful-wise. It helps people understand what you guys go through on the highway department, what Donnie goes through with the transfer station recycling center. And I don't think people always really completely understand it until they hear it from the department heads.
Well, I think anytime I've had anything on the agenda come in to explain if there was any questions.
But it's appreciated, because it does, it makes it very easy to, you guys both make it very easy to understand the average person what's going on. Ron, that's a good idea about the signature for the warrants. That would save a lot of people running around. I know we use electronic signatures now. And I agree with Howard. I think when they go talk to him, whoever code enforcement, not trying to micromanage, but they need to tell that individual that those ladders are a safety hazard, and if a kid gets up here and falls through the roof and gets killed, it's going to be on him. You know, I mean, I hope that never happens, but it's, you know, that, as far as I'm concerned, the house should have been condemned years ago and tore down, but that's just me. Also, I do want to say, I saw in the newspaper, and I don't like to bring up bad things, but I see Randy Ray passed away. And I went to school with Randy Ray. He was a couple grades ahead of me in school, went to Scouts with him. Nice fella, real good guy. I hadn't seen him in a few years, but I was very surprised to see that he had passed away. I think he was only, 62 or 3?
62 or 3, yeah.
And my condolences go out to him and his family. That's a very nice family. I know them all. So, and otherwise, now I have nothing else. So I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We are adjourned.
I'll be
Follow my policy.
Thank you. Kim. Did you email everything you want to know?